Zerg player. This is
LGIM Ragnarok.
really strong player, former TSL Zerg player, then went to LGIM and is performing quite well for them too. He's up against the Protoss today. Starting to the top left of Belcher Vestige, we have his opponent. Starting for Casper's 8th team, it is
Ace Team Pigbaby.
Very apt. This is the Challenger League because he is a completely new challenger here. And Ragnarok, you know, his potential was definitely fully realized when he joined LGIM. Before that, he was still a decent player. You know, Coach Leaf, TSL, said very good things about him, spoke highly of him, said he's got so much potential, he just hasn't really been able to realize that yet. And when he joined LGIM, it really just showed. He exploded as a player.
Yeah, TSL was really a great team, and they bred a lot of champions. If you just think back to what we saw just recently at MLG, the finals, Pold versus Hyun, that was also a TSL final, so to say. And well, let's look a little bit at the match that we see right now. Currently on screen, we already have the openings, very standard, especially on a map like this. As a Zerg, ever since SOS started his crazy cannon rushes at the natural, you're very reluctant to go into a hatch first. We usually see the pool opening, and especially, of course, against the Forge first for Pigbaby, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so Forge first here, not really going to be able to do any damage. He will actually allow the hatchery to go down too. He doesn't block the hatchery at the natural.
You still have to be careful. We've seen a lot of cannon rushes that succeeded even when the Zerg player went for a pool first. So scouting is pivotal in this matchup. You need to find out what's going on. And it's always the chance that the Protoss player just goes ahead and drops the top pylon behind your mineral line. So you always have to be a little bit careful. Should either send out an overlord, which is not the case in this scenario, but he might send out a drone at some point just to be super safe. So far, he doesn't really have to because he saw the probe the entire time.
Yeah, he also kind of sent his drone behind the minerals for just a second when he moved his first drone down to make the hatchery, just to be safe, at least in that sense. And, you know, it was just a little bit strange to me. Pigbaby didn't really try to block the hatchery at all, just physically with his probe. And back at home, he is getting his gateway up, teching normally here. And the probe is actually going to see this drone going to the third base location. And most likely, Ragnarok won't actually make it till the probe's chased away. Well, we'll see if he saw that.
Gets the third down, and that's, of course, what you want to do if your opponent opens up with a Forge first. You go for the standard timing for your hatch around 4 minutes. Sometimes you go down to 4:20. But let's talk a little bit about the matchup and the two players here. This is, of course, Heart of the Swarm, so we don't have a huge sample size of games that those two have been playing offline against each other's races. Against Protoss players, Ragnarok has already 2 wins. He won 2 best-of-3s, 3 maps in total. He won against the Vengeance, against Puzzle, so to say he didn't lose a single map just yet, has a 100% record here. And for HS, if you look at his match history, he won 3 maps and lost 2, so 60%. Doesn't have the best ratio here just yet, but we are still down to pretty small sample sizes when we just focus on the offline matches in Heart of the Swarm, which is, of course, all that counts here. So a little bit of an edge maybe to Ragnarok. He's also the more experienced player at the booths here at WCS. But Pigbaby is definitely a tough challenger to face, and you have to be quite careful. As we said earlier, the first round is the most dangerous one.
Very true. You said Ragnarok was 2-0 in matches in this matchup, is that what you said?
Yeah, he won 3 against 2 opponents, and in total he won 3 maps, so he's 3-0 overall in maps.
Just clarifying that, because I was going to say, you know, he may have the perfect record, but Pigbaby's won just as many games. Again, in this matchup, he's played more, I guess, overall. The robotics goes down here for Pigbaby, who is going to be going for possibly some aggression.
You know, when you talk about it like this, actually when you look at the stats for Pigbaby for HS, he lost his first best-of-3 that he ever played against Zerg in Heart of the Swarm with an 0-2. Since then, he's on a 3-0 score, so that's the same score that Ragnarok has in this matchup. So you can actually argue that they are very much on the same level these days if you ignore the first opening match that he had in Heart of the Swarm. Well, you can, of course, still fall to a build order that you've never seen, since there are so many new strategies that come in. Right now, there's still a lot of wiggle room and a lot of changes. Blizzard just announced that they're going to release a new patch. But it's a lot more like standardized what you have in builds, and a lot more known, a lot more developed.
Yeah. We have an Immortal push coming out, by the way. He does not go for an Observer. He makes the Immortal first. And the Overlord, trying to scout here, does not actually see anything, does not see the robotics at all.
Yeah, Pigbaby goes a little bit old school here. And we have the Roach Warrior now done, and we have a lot of Overlords coming in, whereas the Lair Tech has been started. So Position is going to be everything here for Pigbaby, and this is not the biggest map, but there's still a fair distance between the two bases, so you will lose a lot of time. And the question, of course, being, when will Ragnarok identify what's going on?
Yeah, and also, is he going to have the larva? When does he drone? Because that's a big problem as well. So it's knowing as fast as possible, and also when you find out, making sure you can get those units out.
Really interesting positions here for the gateways. We have 6 gateways in total coming up now, just underlining once again that he wants to push on 2 bases with those Immortals, whereas Ragnarok doesn't know what's happening because his Overlords didn't scout anything. So we have now Spore Crawlers for him, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
But I was talking a little bit about those gateways that we saw at the pylon in the main base. He killed an Overlord there, and the chances that a Zerg player will actually have 2 Overlords in the same position are kind of 0.
Yeah.
So that's why he built those gateways all the way to the left, or split them out as he did. But now with the Zergling Scout suddenly, he knows exactly what's going on, and he looks at this and is like, oh my god, I have to prepare. Throws down the Hydra then even before it, and if he gets enough Hydras out, that would put him in a great position against his army.
Absolutely, force fields can work decently against Hydras, but their range is so good that they can kind of ignore the force fields to a certain extent. He already has a lot of Lings on the map. Speed is about to finish. He's going to use these Lings to buy as much time as he can. A few Hydras on the way, but he also has to make some roaches. But oh no, his Lings didn't have speed yet. He's trapped so many of those.
Hey, trapped the Zerglings. Speed is about to kick in, but we also have the first Hydralisks being produced. And I have to say that this is just a build that we've seen in Rings of Liberty over and over again, but we are in Heart of the Swarm. Does that still work? The Hydra Gen is so exposed. Did you see that at the third base? I didn't even realize this before. That is a problem.
A very big problem indeed. The Warp Prism being activated here. He's warping in more Stalkers. Does he have enough time? It doesn't look like it. The Spine Crawler here not going to last too long against this much firepower.
He needs to get more Hydralisks. He's getting 7 additional ones. The +1 attack upgrade is on the way, but not done just yet. The Hydralisk moving in. So much DPS. The drones coming off the mineral line trying to help out here.
And it looks like the Zealot's now going to try to go through, but the Sentries actually blocked them a little bit. The force fields, on the other hand, are so good here. It looks like he may be able to push through. There's so many Hydras on the way, but they're taking a little bit too long.
Yeah, the Hydralisks are doing as much damage as they can, but the force fields, as you already said, they are great. They're splitting the army here. And Pigbaby gets into a very good position. The Hydra Den is being eliminated. Not just yet, but now here.
Yeah, now it's gone, and he lost the Warp Prism, it appears. But still, he's got that pylon. And no, actually, the Warp Prism would just move further back, so he can still warp in here very close.
And here comes once again Ragnarok trying to hold off against this army. He knows that he only has to defend and he'll be fine. But the Protoss has so many units on the map right now. A slight supply advantage goes to Ragnarok. But more and more warpins coming in here for Pigbaby. And he has so many force fields still left and he's using them. But this time with a little bit of a gap to let those units escape.
Exactly. And starting to run a little bit low on the sentry count here. Or rather the force field count. He still has quite a few sentries, but they don't do the damage like the Immortals do. He lost an Immortal. And this push is starting to look a little bit weaker here. He needs to hit this right now. Good force of trapping the entire army this time.
There's still 2 Immortals, of course, in the back, and they are dishing out the main damage against the Roaches here, and that's all that currently Ragnarok can rely upon. He's getting more Roaches into the battle, trying to close the distance right now, immediately moving in since those force fields are long gone and taking out sentry after sentry.
Sentries falling your left and right. The Immortals, on the other hand, still remain alive. He has to retreat. He has to get his forces together. 7 more Roaches on the way. A few more Zerglings. Larva becoming a little bit of an issue here, and he will lose the hatchery, perhaps.
There's still no Mothership Core with this. He can't just simply teleport back. There's no possibility for him to use a recall. But that hatch is so low already. With a short focus, he can take it out.
Yeah, looks like it's going to fall here. And Ragnarok looking just a little bit less likely to hold here. He's lost so many Harvesters this time as well. Now he's behind in Harvesters, 44 to 43.
We have a massive bank here in Minerals for Pigbaby. He can reinforce with Zealots anytime he wants, but of course he would like to get some range units out there. Making his way now over to the third base. There is no add attack for Ragnarok. He lost the Hydra Den already, and he doesn't have an infestation pit or anything like it. If you identify soon enough what your opponent is trying to do, you can even try to get Swarm Hosts out, but no way for Ragnarok to win this anymore.